Chapter 11. I craned my neck and watched the Queen until she disappeared around a castle wall. The window opened on a cul-de-sac. I could see only castle walls, a rectangle of grass, a rectangle of gray sky. The Duchess would be expecting me by now. She'd be livid. Ivy had a good heart. She couldn't be so kind to me if she hadn't. The King couldn't have fallen in love with her otherwise. Although he hadn't said a word about her heart in his wedding song. I sang a snatch of it. She has thunder and lightning, joy and rage. A gust of wind blew into the cul-de-sac. It whipped my skirts up around my waist, exposing my legs. I kicked, wriggled in a useless effort to cover them. I wanted to scream with frustration, but then the whole castle would know. I'd be the ugly ox who'd gotten herself stuck in a window with a door inches away. As time passed, I grew certain the Queen had forgotten me. I decided to scream after all. Help! No one came. I pushed and wriggled again. The window frame bit into my hips, my stomach, and my buttocks. Dame Ethel's reticule jabbed into my right hip. The reticule! Maybe I could pull it out and gain an inch or two. I tugged and yanked on its strap. My fingers turned red, but the reticule was as stuck as I was. I was grinding my teeth so hard my jaw ached. Then I had to laugh. If I missed a few meals, I'd be able to get out. I heard the distant roar of the cheering crowd. It had to be the centaur spectacle. I heard footsteps. I shouted, "Help!" Perhaps, if I twisted diagonally to the window frame, I could pull the reticule through. I twisted, sending pain down my legs. A man's voice sang, "What's that I hear? A damsel in distress?" The reticule was out. I'd done it. I squirmed and writhed and gained an inch back into the chamber. "I'll save you, sweet maiden." Now that I thought I might get out, I wanted him to go away. I thrust myself forward and gained another inch. "Perhaps you'll thank me with a kiss." "Go away!" His footsteps were close by. I loosed and sent my voice as far as I could, wherever it would go. "Kind sir, hurry please, for I sorely need you." The footsteps stopped. "Where are you, lovely maiden?" I sent my voice a different way. "Here I am." I pushed into the room, progressing inch by inch. "Where?" "I was freed."
"Oh, where?"
He'd see me if I exited into the corridor, so I left through the outside door. I heard cheering again and followed the sound. The clouds were lowering. Rain was on the way. The lists stands were filled, although the arena was empty. I supposed the performance was between acts. There was the Duchess, looking grumpy and ill-used in a first-row seat. She was facing straight ahead and didn't see me. If she had, she would likely have scolded me before everyone. Luckily, there were no seats near her. I climbed to a back row, ready if she needed assistance. Spread before me were more colors than in a garden. The stands were draped with cloth. Blue cloth here, gold cloth there, green cloth everywhere else. Pennants flew the purple and silver Eorthian coat of arms. The lords and ladies were gaily clad, the men in their doublets and slashings and brilliant hose, the women in their gowns and ribbons and puffed sleeves. I saw Prince Ajori and Uchu, 2 rows up, with the king and queen. Ivy was laughing and clapping, with no thought for me, trapped in a window. But perhaps she had sent a servant to save me, and the servant had been derelict. The arena was set up with hurdles, too high for ordinary horses. Centaurs streamed in, 6 stallions and 6 mares. The muscles of their horse bodies flowed into their human torsos and arms. The tight doublets of the stallions and the clinging bodices of the mares concealed none of the creature's strength and grace. A mare stood directly below my part of the stands. Her eyes had the questioning look of an intelligent dog, and she sniffed the air with her human-seeming nose. The centaur trainer entered the lists, carrying a basket and a baton. He held something up for King Oscaro and Ivy to see. Then he displayed it to the rest of the audience, an egg. He threw it to the mare near me and reached into his basket for more. Each centaur received 4 eggs. The trainer waved his baton, and they began both to juggle and to gallop. When they reached a hurdle, they jumped while still juggling. I smiled. I glanced across the lists. Prince Azure was smiling too. Our eyes met. His smile widened and my blush started. I looked at the king and queen and caught a little drama. King Oscaro had turned his head toward Lady Arona, who was enchanting in a pink embroidered bonnet. Ivy's eyes followed his gaze. The fury in her face frightened me. I wouldn't have been Lady Arona then for anything. A moment later the queen laughed, and I wondered if I'd imagined her rage. The centaurs started lobbing eggs to one another, sometimes all the way across the list. I could barely breathe, expecting one of them to miss and the egg to land. Splat. Not a single egg was dropped. I raised my arms until my shoulders ached. Frying Pan entered the arena, wielding a charcoal brazier and carrying a bowl and skillet. The trainer took the bowl while Frying Pan lit the charcoal. The centaurs trotted to the trainer. Each one cracked his or her eggs into the bowl and galloped out of the lists, followed by the trainer. Frying Pan placed her frying pan atop the brazier. Everyone laughed as she beat her eggs and poured them into the pan. She sang, "Shake an egg, toss an egg, hatch an egg, break an egg, omelette for lunch. Watch it bubble, watch it boil, watch it burn, watch it scorch, omelette for lunch. Please, oh cook, quick, oh cook, serve, oh cook, omelette for lunch." Frying Pan lifted her pan off the flame. "Omelette for lunch!" She wheeled the brazier out of the arena. The overcast sky darkened. The centaurs trotted back in. The trainer returned too, pulling nets filled with pulsing color. He opened the nets and released swarms of butterflies, which settled on the centaurs. The centaurs turned into creatures out of a dream, garbed in bright hues that shifted and throbbed as the butterflies fluttered their wings. The centaurs began to move, slowly and carefully. The butterflies stayed with them. The centaurs had completed a circuit of the lists when they began to trot, and the butterflies stayed with them. How could it be? But it was. The centaurs cantered and then they galloped. They raced out of the arena with the butterflies still clinging. I hated to see them go. There might be more miracles ahead, but I could have watched this one forever. There was a lull. Servants circled with omelet sandwiches. Mine was the best I'd ever tasted, studded with sweet peas and mellow Elan cheese. After we'd eaten, 4 huge centaurs entered the list and strutted about, showing off their bulging muscles. I felt a raindrop on my nose. Servants opened umbrellas over the heads of the courtiers. An ox entered the arena, pulling a cart filled with wooden posts and heavy iron rings. Mud spattered the cart's wheels. At first the rain didn't matter. A servant hammered 4 wooden posts into the ground in a line. Then he drove the cart to the centaurs. With great difficulty he lifted out an iron ring and staggered with it to a mare. She lifted the ring as though it were paper. With a flick of her wrist she tossed the ring onto the farthest post, almost the length of the lists away. The rain came down harder. Each centaur took a half-dozen rings. At the trainer's signal the centaurs hurled rings at all the posts, faster than I believed possible. Not a single ring missed its post. The centaurs started to trot while tossing the rings, their aim still perfect. King Oscaro stood and shouted something. The trainer signaled with his baton, and the centaurs increased their pace. A stallion slipped in the mud while tossing a ring. He recovered, but his throw went wide. An iron ring hurtled toward Ivy. King Oscaro moved to block her. Prince Azure launched himself at her and knocked her over. The moments lodged in my memory. If they had done nothing, the ring would have sailed over her shoulder. Instead, it smashed into the side of King Oscaro's head.